I would say if there's something that you've always wanted to do, um, whether that be a job or an artistic pursuit, like be brave, right? Like try it, knowing that you're probably not going to be good at it, and that that's a part of the process. You know, just like having me start out in the sixth grade as a guitar player, I sucked. I was terrible. You know, I had no time. I played the pentatonic scale till it was way out of style, and but then I got better, right? And and that's where we all start. And I think that for a lot of people in today's modern, like tech technological age, they're afraid of taking a risk, right? Because like, what if it's caught on camera, and what if it's posted on social media? Then the whole world's going to know that I suck, and they're not going to know that for now. They're going to know that forever because it's always going to be up there, right? And so I feel like a lot of people kind of play it safe and go, I don't want to try too hard in any direction because then no one can make me feel bad about me. But at the same time, like, you're not living up to your like potential, so that's its own hell. um
Yeah.
but like we're all, I feel like that we're all puzzle pieces, and there's something that you do innately probably better than most people, and whatever that is, you should probably do it.
Construction man, it's hard to see a world beyond your machinery. The mile town, morning time is cut in half by your using right. Construction man, you took my tree, I wrote it all, my shade of sanity.
Listen to the vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. And I'm very happy to welcome Mr. David Noble here with me. And he is the lead guitarist and singer for a band called Pardon the Interruption. That'd be a prog pop band from the description that I got. And
True.
I tell you what, I listened to your latest album, and although I can hear influences from a lot of different bands, I can't pinpoint it being like anybody else. So
That,
I enjoyed it.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, that's kind of what like we were going for. It's we it's like there are some strong influences like the Police, David Bowie, Madness, Fishbone, like bands like that. But we try to sort of roll different influences into a different package, and so that it's not so obvious who we draw our influences from.
Well, I read that you were a child of the 80s, but I hear more of the 70s, like Police and Talking Heads kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's. I mean, I was born in '75, but I guess just being around it, I absorbed it by osmosis, you know. But yeah, like rock and roll for me, sort of it reaches its apex in the '70s. Like so much happened in those 10 years. So I'm heavily influenced by like guitar players and bands of that era.
Oh, well, that kind of soul and the funk that came with some of the like the bass lines,
Hmm.
man, it took me back, really did.
Oh,
And
nice.
I there was a couple of songs in there. I swear it's almost sounded like Aaron Neville was singing.
Ooh, yeah, I've never been put in the same sentence as Aaron Neville. I'm not sure that'll ever happen again, but I appreciate that. That's that's a rarity in my world. But yeah, he's got soul for days, man. He's a scary dude.
Well, tell us a little bit more about you.
So I was born in Berkeley, California, raised in San Francisco, and and growing up like in San Francisco, which they call the city, which I know everyone has a city, but that's my city. It was great because I had so much influence. I had, you know, bands all around me. Like I'm not a big Grateful Dead fan, but that was definitely there. Uh, like Huey Lewis and the News and Mr. Bungle and Psychofunkapus and Faith No More and and Tower of Power and you know, Sly and the Family Stone. So it just it really it got into me. You know, I couldn't escape it. It was all around me all the time. Um, and I found that music was a great way to communicate. Um, Something about me that that I don't talk about a lot because it's hard for me to talk about it, like literally, is that I grew up with a speech impediment,
Mm.
and so stuttering was my way of trying to get anything out, and so when I would talk to people, they'd know right away. They'd be like, "Oh, are you trying to say this? Here, like, let me help you," you know, and I'd be like, "Here, or just let me go through my process of stuttering, and then I'll tell you what I really think." Um, and I know the people like were trying to be nice, but one way that I found I was able to communicate was through music. So if I would were to like literally sing what I was trying to say, it would come out fine, no problem. But as soon as I try to talk, it would just I'd hit that stutter wall, and I'd have to find a way around it.
Mm.
So like at a very early age, I realized I'm like, oh, music is my ticket to communication. I need to keep doing this because otherwise people are going to just not, not understand like what I really mean. Um, so yeah, so I made a life out of it. You know, I went to high school where there was a lot of music, and they actually had a rock band class, which was awesome. And then I went to college and studied jazz composition, and so like that allowed me to be me, and play in bands and tour and share myself, you know.
You know, a lot of people don't understand because I stutter myself. I used to
Mm,
be a lot worse when I was a kid. I've
yep,
tried to
same.
work over it through the years,
Hmm.
but it's like your mouth is trying to catch up with your brain. It's the only
Yeah.
way I can explain it.
Yep.
You've got so many ideas, I guess, going on at once, and
Hmm.
you're trying to convey it, and then you just trip over yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a real pain, and it's so frustrating because you're like, ah, I, there's one word I want to say, but now that I've thought about it, I can't say that word.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to find another word. You know, so I got good at sort of circling around the word that I wanted to say, but not actually saying it. Um, but uh, but yeah, so like it sounds like you feel my pain, right? And it's weird, right? Because like you would think that, well, then why would you? I'm like, why would you be the lead singer of a band? Because you do have to talk to people. You have to like talk with the audience, which scares the crap out of me. But yet somehow I do it. It's like it like by challenging that fear,
Mm-hmm.
I get better at it.
And nowadays, instead of stuttering a lot, I stop and it takes me a minute to say what I need to say.
Mhm,
And then I lose that word. Like you said, there was something I was fixing to say
mhm.
and I forgot it. Now I've got to figure out what am I going to replace it with because now I've totally lost it.
Right, right.
Someone who understands.
Yeah, no, this is it's a like it's a tough way to live, man, you know, and it's frustrating because some days it's just there more than others. And it's not because like I'm anxious, it's not because I'm stressed, it's not because I'm sleep deprived, it's just there. And then because it's there, then I get stressed, you know, and then it gets worse. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm like I'll be quiet today.
Mm,
But maybe I don't want to be. So
what's
but that's where music was really helpful, you know, because it put me in a place where I could finally like through my playing, through my voice, I could tell people what's going on.
what's frustrating for me
Hmm.
is when I'm trying to think of those words and I'm in the middle of trying to say what I got to say,
Yep.
I get cut off. People cut me off all the time, and I get so angry, so frustrated.
Yeah.
I finally started saying something to my wife about it, and
Mhm.
she tries to do better, but I can't stand it.
Yeah, no, like that is frustrating, and like this gets me a lot too. Is it like I have kind of a quiet voice just because that's just how I talk, and so in a crowded room where there's lots of noise, I'll say something, and someone says what, then I'm like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, I have to say that again. Do you know how much energy it took for me to say that the first time? Now I have to do it again.
Hmm.
Never mind. It's yeah.
Oh my God, we're kindred spirits here.
That's
I
it's
feel
funny.
it, man. And my wife is constantly saying, "What? What?"
Mhm,
Oh, and I used to listen to music real loud,
mhm,
and so now I've noticed that I have some hearing loss,
mhm,
and so then I have to keep saying, "What? What?"
mhm.
That makes it even more frustrating.
No, no, it's these portals of joy in the side of our head that like once they start to go, it's scary and frustrating.
Mm. So when did you first pick up guitar?
Wow, it must have been like the sixth grade. Um, it was I was going to a school. It was an all boys school actually, in San Francisco, and all my other friends were just getting into like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and Jimi Hendrix. So like they were all playing guitar, right? And I was like, hey, I could do that, right? And prior to that, I had been playing drums. Like that was actually my very first instrument. And I did drums and then piano, and then once guitar got to be cool, I wanted to do that. So like in the sixth grade, I was learning Aerosmith, and I was learning like anything that was on the radio, like that was cool and hip, because of course, like when I got together with my friends, and be like, hey, like I learned this song. Oh, like like you learned that solo, cool. Like please teach me. And then it got to be about high school, and a lot of those friends went to different high schools and kind of like spread out, and they stopped playing, but I kept going because I it was like my new best friend. And it got me through some very tough times, like through high school, like through college. I used it to like meet people, right? Because as you know, like having a stutter, I ended up being kind of shy because I was like, social situations, what do I do? Oh, I play in a band. Oh, that's easy. Now I just do my thing and people come talk to me. This is the way to do it, right? So I just kept with it, and last I clocked it. I've been playing guitar for almost 30 years.
Wow.
So it's taken up a huge chunk of my life, and I've got just stacks of guitars. Like I don't know if you can see them over there, but my wife says that I have a problem, and she's probably right.
Was that a Telecaster over on the
Oh
side?
yeah, no, I've got a telly on the wall, and then I've got a cigar box guitar over there, and I've got a it's a very cheap Yamaha acoustic over there, but that's that's just scratching the surface too. So
What's your favorite?
I got this Gibson Firebird, and I just fell in love with it. It's the weirdest guitar. It's way too big, like for me, but like I've got these long arms, so it works, right? Like I can stretch out and kind of play like an E chord way down here, and it's just fun to play, and it just looks gnarly. Like like people back up and give me space on stage. They're like, "Whoa, you bring out the Firebird? Okay, all right." It's like there's a power about it that I appreciate, and it's versatile. It sounds like a telly on steroids.
Mm,
It's got that spank if you want it, but it can scream if you want it. So
wow.
that's my new favorite.
And I interviewed a guy that plays a war guitar.
Ooh, yeah.
Like, God, how do you do that? All those friggin' strings and how huge it is.
I yeah. That sounds very intimidating. You know,
To
and
make a
like
bass
what
sound
size
too.
case is it? You know, like it's like my Firebird case is weighs more like than like the guitar. It's giant.
Jeez.
So yeah, no, like each person has their own favorite. Do you play?
I have a I have the a Fender bass, and I have the Fender Squire guitar. But my problem is, number one, I have a hard time with my fingers. I have
Okay.
nerve damage,
Um,
and I, number one, I twitch a lot, but it's hard for me to even hold a pencil, much less try to play guitar. But I'm not giving up.
right.
when when I was younger, I tried to play, but once again, I just always had problems moving my hands up and down the neck. My fingers are not exactly the biggest, so they're kind of pudgy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like so bass is like it sounds like your choice.
It's I can play some, but I'm by no means an expert.
Mm.
And but I like to piddle around with it every once in a while.
Yeah. It's like it's fun, man. It's like it's a great connection. You know, like I can't always find the words to express how I feel, but somehow I can play it.
Well, it's great if you have a talent like yours.
Mm.
And once again, you have that a speech impediment, and I can see, especially as a kid, that kind of holding you back from being too outward.
Mhm.
I was very awkward. My hair was like wavy and curly and dry and frizzy all over the place, and I
Mhm.
wanted to have long hair like the other kids did, and it just didn't look good, but I
Yeah.
tried it anyway, and was goofy looking for the longest time, and
Yep.
overweight and all
Yep.
these problems. And kids can be cruel.
Yep.
um,
That's the truth, man. We have so many parallels. It's scary.
Anything that can get you over that hump.
Mhm.
I mean, you took off, man, and it worked for you. um, I was 36 years old before I ever decided to lose any weight, so
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. You know, how you feel about yourself inwardly can be shown on the outside. You know, uh, and that was me for a majority of my youth and a majority of my 20s. You know, I just it was hard for me to like myself.
mhm, I know what you mean.
So it's gotten better, but there's still struggles.
Oh, it wrecked my mental health.
Yeah.
But, life has a way of throwing stuff at you. The whole thing is to keep going and keep trying.
Mhm.
Uh, my my spirituality has really helped me so much. And we talked a little bit before we got started, and going to the river and put my feet in there and being around nature,
Yep.
that's helped a lot.
Yeah.
Moving away from where I grew up here, it
Mhm.
opened up so many doors for me. And I've got a lot of health issues, and so I had to retire early, but I didn't want to just lay around and do nothing.
Right.
And you think, okay, a guy that has a hard time talking, why would you take up podcasting? And you know what?
Right.
I enjoy it,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of people can look past my mistakes, and
Yeah.
I get to meet so many incredible people like David here.
Well, or like Kyle here. You know, but yeah, and it gives you a chance to continue to grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I if something scares me, it usually means I should do it, right? Like
Yeah.
like if there's a song that I'm like, ooh, I don't know, this is too complicated, and I think this is outside my wheelhouse. I should do it. You know, just challenge myself.
Do you have something that usually influences you to write the music, or are you just one of those, I'm gonna crank it out?
No, no, actually, like it's funny. Like you talked about sort of like your connection, like or your spirituality. I too connect with nature, on a very deep level, and out here in California, uh, there's a place called Lake Tahoe, which is just gorgeous, and my great grandfather built a cabin up there back in like 1930, and it's like it's all dirt roads, like just fire trails in like all directions. It's on this old like Freemason camp, and like the cabin itself is like 500 square feet. It's tiny, but I love it up there. And every time I go up there, I hear things. Like I write songs up there all the time. And so like so every summer, I go up there and just write songs, and bring them back to the band, like, hey, like what about this, like what about this, what about this, um and so that's where I find inspiration. I can't just sit down and be like, okay, today I'm going to write a song. Like if that's what I really want to do, then I need to go for a hike. Like I need to go like jump in the river, and then I'll hear something. It comes to me. I can't plan these things. Uh, but like when it does, it's so exciting. It's like just something new, a groove that just hits me as I'm walking back to the cabin. I'm like, oh, ooh, okay, oh, I gotta find my guitar quick, and there it is. Yeah, and then and then I show it to the boys, and they like it's not like I write most of the music, because I don't. I come up with ideas, and then I give it to the band, like, hey, like what about this bass part, like what about this drum part, like what about this horn part, and they're like, yeah, that's cool, but what about this? I'm like, oh, that's better, go with that. So pretty much everything that we do is collaborative, but yeah, the process starts very much from the universe, from like spirituality, like whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It just kind of happens.
Do you meditate before you do some of your writing?
um I used to meditate a lot more. Don't really do that much these days. Like having an 11-month-old in the house, it's hard
Yeah, I
to
understand.
meditate for more than a minute at a time. But yeah, I guess, like walking meditations, like I feel that hiking, is a form of meditation.
Oh
Walking is
yeah.
a form of meditation, and that's usually when I get into rhythm. Like everything about me is rhythmic. Like I um like that's also a way that I've learned to talk is through rhythm. Because like when I feel that my pace is too frenetic, I slow it down. It's like, okay, so like I'm at like 180 BPM. I'm gonna dial it down to like 110. Then once I'm there, well, I can talk more, right? So walking, hiking, and like anything like with movement creates like that rhythm, and that rhythm, like to me, is my meditation.
Mhm. Yeah, it is a good time to do that when you can walk off by yourself.
Mhm.
Now, I read that you were in several different bands,
Yep.
but I also heard that this band is pretty tight. What makes this one so much different from the other bands you've been in?
Um. So I've been in a lot of great bands, and right now, like I'm in two great bands. Like the other band that I play with is called the Reckless Strangers, and I guess what makes like a PTI, like AKA Pardon the Interruption, so great is that all the players in the band are just top level, right? And we've all put in our time, like our 10,000 hours, like whatever you want to call it. Um, and so it's really easy to create new material or absorb. It's like if we want to do a cover, it doesn't take us very long to like bring that into the set. But but I think like what's great about it is that we all trust each other. Like and like we all love each other. Like I love my bandmates. They're like brothers to me. And they like and we try things like every time that we play, it's different. Like so we take a very jazz approach to our prog pop sound. If the bass player's having a hot night, I'm going to let him go. And you want to take a 16 bar a bass solo, great. Like you want to make it like a 32 bar bass solo, have at it. You know, I don't put boundaries on what we're doing. Like I want to like pivot into a Bowie song. Okay, let's do it. You know, and they follow me. It's crazy. It's like it's like ESP. I can't explain it, but I feel so connected with them that we can do anything.
You can be in a tight band, but then you've got a band that everybody knows each other's moves. There's something different about that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe I read that one of the guys was in Big Brother in the Holding Company.
Yeah, Rob Fordyce. So he's a bass player. I mean, like just unparalleled. I mean, like he attacks the bass, right? Like I've never seen a guy have to get fretwork done on his bass more than Rob Fordyce, because he literally he's tapping on his bass and slapping it, and just like his bass is just like beat to heck, you know. But it sounds great, you know. And but yeah, like he's played with like I played with like Big Brother and the Holding Company. He's played with members of Tower of Power. And he's just a funky white dude, you know. Like he's just got this vibe about him. Like he's like Scottish, and he's like 6'4", and you know, just a big dude, but but a gentle soul, you know. Like he's got great ears, and he knows where I'm going. It's like we I play gigs with just Rob Fordyce and I, just bass and guitar, and he catches me every time. He's like a big safety net, you know. It's like the bass player has to know sort of where all the chord changes are, and he does his homework. Like he probably works harder than anybody else in the band, because he'll like rehearse the set 4 or 5 times like before each show and get everything down. So I know, like going into any live show, that like he's done his homework.
You know, I don't know if you are a fan of Frank Zappa or not,
Mm-hmm.
but I could actually kind of hear a little bit of that influence in your music as well. Was that intentional or was that by accident?
I think that's by accident, because I love Frank Zappa, but I'm not really thinking of him when I'm writing, because I just I don't know. I guess I maybe like maybe, you know, it could just infuse in there, you know. But he's kind of like one of those untouchable artists, you know, like Stevie Wonder. It's like yeah, like
Yeah.
you can try if you want, but there is no other Stevie Wonder. Like there is no like other Frank Zappa. Uh but wow, but that's a high compliment. I will take that. Thank you.
Yeah. I've heard people try to sound like Zappa,
Mhm.
but like you said, nobody can touch him.
Yeah,
There'll never be another brain like his.
no.
He's by far my favorite guitarist, favorite musician of all time.
Hmm.
That guy could take 2 or 3 different genres of music and mix them up like nobody could. I mean,
Yeah.
he'd take reggae and doo-wop and put them together. Like,
Hmm.
what? And it worked.
And make it sound good, right? It's like it's not some quirky experiment. Like I wonder what if, you know, like no, he's like no, this is a new genre now that like only Frank Zappa can do.
Sure. And then to throw those crazy lyrics on top of them.
Hmm.
I mean, the guy could put out 10 albums in 1 year and nothing sounded like the last album.
Yeah, yeah, like Joe's Garage and like Shake Your Booty, and like it's like what? Okay, like I'm sorry. How did you? It's like yeah, no, he's like he's covered more ground than most artists like in their lifetime.
And the funny thing is, like an album like Them or Us comes out, and it almost has that pop radio friendly sound without being pop friendly.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you don't hear Zappa on the radio at all. You know, like which is terrible. I wish that weren't the case, but like not everyone can like metabolize him.
Well, a lot of radio stations won't allow some of that language either.
Well, that might be the problem.
But hey, what is his daughter Moon Unit? He writes a song for her, and it becomes a hit on the radio.
Hmm.
Crazy, Valley Girl.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that. Wow. Oh boy. Yeah. See, and like this is why I wanted to be alive during the '70s to like
Hmm.
be a part of that. You know, like to see Frank Zappa. Like, I never had the chance.
Man, to go back to those days and see a lot of those bands.
Hmm.
Yeah, I have seen a few of those bands from the '70s here in, the last 20 years, but you've got a lot of the people that are dead or just no longer with the band, and they've got new people in it. Like I went to see Boston,
Okay.
and Brad Delp gone.
Yeah.
The guy they got to sing for him, he sounds pretty close to him.
Sure.
But he couldn't do the high parts, so they ended up getting the guy from Striper to come in to sing the high parts.
Hmm.
And there was some chick was playing bass for him. She was
Okay.
great. Don't get me wrong, she was great, but it still wasn't Boston.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Tom Scholes, I think, was the only original member left in the band.
You know. Yeah. It's right. So to capture them back in their heyday would have been just gold.
Hmm. Even a band like Styx, you've got a lot of the original members in it, but oh my God, I just had his name in my head. I can't think of it. Um, Dennis DeYoung,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, he's not in the band anymore.
Yeah.
The guy they got does a good job, but he's not Dennis.
Um, and who is right?
Very true. Very true. And went to go see the Who last year,
Oh,
and
how was that?
man, I tell you what, the concert was excellent.
Hmm.
But Roger and Pete were the only two members left in the band,
Yeah.
and the guy that was playing bass, he couldn't do the bass parts that John did.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Entwistle was a monster.
My God, he's doing stuff in the '60s that even people in the '80s and '90s couldn't do.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, like way ahead of his time, but yeah, no, it's and like and I hold hope, right? Like people always go, oh, like the best music's always in the rearview mirror. It's like it can feel like that like sometimes, but also like I used to be like one of those guys that just complained about it, and I'd just be like, new music, like whatever, and then like what, I should. Why don't I not be a part of the problem? Like why don't I try? Just like get like get the best band I can and write the best songs I can and try to get something going again, because like it feels like a lot of the players, like I don't know how it is in Austin, but a lot of the good players around here, like to pay the bills, they got to join tribute bands and cover bands. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, like that used to be a thing back in the day when, you play like a wedding machine band to get some extra income. But now it's like these people are playing all the major venues around town. I'm like, Come on, y'all. Like let's create a scene. Let's get back to the 70s when like there was great creative music coming like from all sides.
Hmm.
So you know, I'm not like naive to think like Pardon the Interruption is gonna be the like tip of the spear on this, but I'd like other bands to also challenge their idols instead of mimicking them.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Well, I will say there are some prog bands that I'm just now discovering that they're more modern,
Mhm.
um, that are doing a great job
Oh,
of
good.
bringing their music out. I just mainstream
Mhm.
where bands like Rush was the mainstream, and
Right.
Triumph, and all those
Mhm.
prog bands from back then were mainstream, and
Yep.
now it's all stuff you do on the computer and the hip hop and all that stuff. That's what's mainstream, and these bands aren't getting the attention that they deserve.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would like to see that again.
I mean, everything changes, right? You know, like that's the only constant in the universe. So I'd like to believe that things will swing back to a time when prog rock and or prog anything has its time again. Um, just because there are some amazing players out there writing amazing like material and like they deserve to be heard.
No, I did see that John Anderson's got some new stuff coming out,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
and so I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
And but those guys who are our idols, we look at like, oh my God, I'll never be able to touch John Anderson.
Hmm.
And because of, I mean, we're getting older, let's face it.
Sure,
The kids they're not interested in that stuff. They don't, most of the kids don't know who John Anderson is, or Steve Howe.
sure. Yeah, they don't they don't know. Yes, but you know I like, but I have seen some kids who blow me away, like who are on to some next level stuff that I don't even know like who their influences are. So in a way, I'm holding hope that like okay, well maybe they like there won't be another Yes, but there might be something as cool.
Yeah, I thought once like the heavy metal, the hair metal, all that stuff came out, and
Mhm.
you had the rap music of that time. I thought, oh, what else are they going to come up with?
Right.
And here comes the 90s and grunge comes in.
Hmm.
I thought, how are they taking rock music into this direction?
Right.
That was a whole different sound. I didn't think
Yeah.
they could achieve it, but who knows what else
Mhm.
is going to come out.
Yeah, I mean like we don't know what we don't know, and often I found that people don't fully comprehend their own potential, right? You know, like so like I hold hope that
Yeah.
like the rock and prog and just music in general like will get like creative and and maybe get away from over programming and over tuning and over drum detective and just go back to playing, you know, and connecting like with audiences.
Yeah. I talked to an artist once where he had his band back in the studio, and they all played at the same time instead of one guy comes and lays down his track and the next guy lays him down his track. And
Dope,
I know a
dope.
lot of I know a lot of bands do that,
Sure.
and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just something magical about when the whole band plays at the same time in the same room.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's actually how we did the like the Hot and Fresh album. We had access to this beautiful studio that had the space and the channels to just have us all play at the same time, and because of that, it's got that live element to it. You know, I won't lie to you and say that like that there's no overdubbing because there is,
Yeah.
but the drums and bass were pretty much like with like one or two takes, and then like we got it. So but that vibe is important. You know, like you can't just go and slice and dice and edit something together that sounds like it would live. You just can't. You Like you either play it or you don't.
And so the new album that you got out
Mhm.
was and it was Hot and Fresh. Is that what it's
Yes,
called? Okay.
hot and fresh. Yeah, and
Um,
and like it looks like a big pizza box.
yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, you got it on vinyl?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
no way.
it's very cool, and it's like it's got its own colored vinyl, so it's like we did this like this eco thing where like it's like every different color like smushed into one, so
Oh,
it's like a
nice.
reddish gray, and it even comes with its own poster. It's a giant pizza.
Oh, see, that brings back memories.
Yep, like it's like Mad Magazine pizza, you know.
So that's another thing I've talked about on the show before is that how I missed going to the record store and getting that new album,
Hmm.
and how some of the albums you didn't know what you were going to get. It was either going to be a poster or you'd get the lyric sheet, or even some of them had stickers and
Hmm.
different crazy stuff like that. Oh, heck, Cheech and Chong had an album that came out, had a giant rolling paper in it.
Brilliant, brilliant.
uh my walls in my childhood room was
Hmm.
nothing but posters. You could not see wall.
Yep.
And I had the Pink Floyd posters from the inserts, the
Mhm.
Who and Kiss, of course. And
Right.
I mean, what Sergeant Pepper's, I think, had even some like little cutout dolls or something in it. And
That it did. Yeah.
all those great things that would come inside of an album, and you just don't get that with streaming service.
Like you get nothing. Like you get like you don't even get a file. Is you're just like oh look, there's the album that I want to listen to. It's like that's like there's no buy-in. You know,
Mm.
it's and people get fooled into thinking like, oh well, but I'm paying for the service, so obviously the artists are getting paid. Not really, you
Yeah.
know. So it stifles creativity. You know, like this is a passion project, right? You know, like my wife and I went in the hole to just do this because we're like, screw it, let's just get it out there and do it the way that we want to do it. Uh, you know, but then you're trapped too because it's like, well, if you only do vinyl and CDs, then how are people going to check you out? You know, and so like there's that other hook, like, well, I want people to hear my music, but do I want them to hear it even if they're not going to really pay for it? It's like, I don't know if there's a right answer.
It's just never going to be the same
Hmm.
when we have to face the facts that progress is going to happen,
Hmm.
and we have to go with the flow. I don't particularly like it. I mean, yeah, it's convenient. I've got Spotify on my phone,
Right.
and if there's something I'm itching to hear, I can pull it up. It's
Hmm.
plugged into the car stereo, and I listen to it.
Right.
Yeah. I thought CDs were going to be the end all of everything, and prove me wrong. Now
Yeah.
everything's digital and streaming.
Yep. Yep. You
And
know, so what I do is if I come across like someone who likes the band and listens to the band on streaming services, I ask them like, hey, go to Bandcamp and just buy our album, because that way, like even if you don't listen to it on Bandcamp, you paid for the album, and then you can listen to it ad nauseum. But have at it. But like, if you don't do that, chances are the bands that you love aren't going to be able to keep doing what they're doing. So it's like, I don't know. That's my pitch.
yeah.
It works sometimes.
Well, so many bands are they make their money on touring, and you're lucky if you make money on that.
Right.
And then of course merchandising and all that.
Mhm.
It's become that. Well, I mean, you have to be your own businessman if you're really going to make any money.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, no, you have to be hard about it, right? Like even with my own band, like I gave them 3 CDs, but if they wanted vinyl, like they had to pay for it only because like vinyl's so expensive. You know,
Yeah.
I can't afford to just give these away. You know, so it's yeah, like the revenue streams have dried up. You know, and so like touring, yes, if it makes sense, I'm in, but yeah, but outside of that, it's hard.
It's a wonder if we're going to keep getting new music the way things are going.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that a change happens that, you know, through like legislation, or people just get sick of it, right? You know, it's like, hey, like if you don't like paying $250 through Ticketmaster to see your favorite, you know, act come like rolling through, like why don't you go pay $15 at your local venue and see a live band, you know, like just like somebody who's maybe not on a national tour. You know, it's like I like to think that by supporting locally, you're going to get some great bands in your area. And like, isn't that great? Like back in the day that like they used to be a point of pride to say, oh yeah, like I grew up down the street from like Huey Lewis and the News. Wow, that's cool, right? Um, Austin, like is an area that's known for like for great music. So you know, like there must be tons of great bands. So
Yeah.
you know, why go elsewhere?
You, it's almost as if some of these bands that are just playing the local bars and stuff are making about as much as some of these guys on a tour after you
Mhm.
pay everything,
Yep.
especially if you're beholden to a record company.
Oh
Isn't it
yeah.
better to be an independent artist nowadays?
It kind of is because you know, like historically, record companies will want to recoup any money they spend on you, right?
Mhm.
So if they stick you in a studio and do promotion for like $50,000, then when you hit the road, you need to clear $50,000 like before you make anything. So that's that's rough, you know. And the cost of going on the road has gone up too. Like I have a buddy of mine who plays with Big Head Todd and the Monsters, and he was saying that, you know, in years past they would just get a bus and a driver and just like hit the road. But this year it costs $3 grand a day,
Jeez, man.
so you're not making anything. You know, so what they did is they just got a Sprinter van and they all take turns driving, and that's what you got to do.
I guess if you want to do what you love, you're willing to make sacrifices like that.
Mhm.
Um, I knew things weren't as good as they used to be. I didn't realize things were getting that bad.
It's yeah, it's a strange time. It seems like a lot of, you know, bigger acts are trying to cash in because it's been a rough like few years. The pandemic slowed everything down. So
Yeah.
so like people are trying to make up for lost time, but I think a lot of people, like a lot of bands are being gouged, you know. And you know, it like, which again supports my theory that like go local, stay local. Like
Yeah.
find those bands in your area like that you love and just do it. Like, get that scene happen. And so like when the next wave comes and things will hopefully change, we can say, hey, I knew that band back in the day, like back in like 2023, like I saw them down at the watering hole for like $10, and I talked with the guitar player, you know, like wouldn't that be awesome?
I'll have to say, when I do see the bands who are up and coming and struggling a bit, they tend to work a little harder, and the concert itself just seems to be better,
Mhm.
as to where you have those that, they're a big name and they've got all the money doing all
Mhm.
this stuff, but the show itself is just losing something.
Yeah, yeah, it's like there's something about like when a band's still hungry for it, you know, like that excitement. Um, so yeah, right. Like I'm a big fan like of the Police, but like the early Police, I really love because they were hungry for it. Like, they
Mhm.
were young, like they were jumping on stage and putting on a show, and nothing against older Police because like that's great too, but that energy was just undeniable, like back in the late 70s.
I am. We were talking about Aerosmith the other day, and their early stuff, you could tell there wasn't like big production on the album. It was
Hmm.
a little bit rough,
Sure.
but that was my favorite Aerosmith.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm not really into the newer Aerosmith stuff. Like,
Yeah.
to me, it's overproduced. That raw, rough stuff from back then had a certain energy about it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Toys like in the Attic is my favorite Aerosmith album.
I'll
Just,
draw the line for me.
is it? Okay.
Yeah.
But like Steven Tyler's voice was still sort of like finding its way, but like he could still, it was just it was such a cool time,
Hmm.
you know. I Yeah. So and those bands are out there doing it now. Let's find the next Aerosmith or the band that's going to be the new thing, like whatever that is. I don't know. It's like we live in two music hubs, like Austin and San Francisco, like the Bay Area. So something big is going to come out of both, at some point. And I'd love to have my finger on the pulse of that.
Well, listening to this album that you put out, I loved every bit of it. I can listen
Thank
to
you.
the whole thing all the way through, and I'm not just saying that because you're here. But was it Construction Man? I think
Yeah,
that's I think is my favorite tune on there.
that's so funny because like that song is sort of the outlier, right? Because like it harkens back to my rock roots, right? It's the hardest song on the album. Um, and and because of that, like I was like, I don't know, like should we push this song as a single? I'm not sure. I love it, but like I don't know if everyone else does. But like since I put out the album, I've heard that from more people. Like oh, I love Construction Man. I'm like, why did I not trust my instincts on this one?
Shame on you.
I know it's my bad, my bad.
Always go with your gut, man. Always go with
Yep,
your gut.
yep.
I mean, don't get me wrong, all the songs are great. That was just my favorite.
Hmm. It kind of gets out there, like we're trying to like create construction site sounds with our instruments. Like in the solo section, like Rob Fordyce is beating on his bass to like get a jackhammer sound, and I'm doing weird scratches to like try to get a drill sound, and the saxophone is just all over the place. So like I was like, this is like maybe that's the Frank Zappa influence. I was just like, okay, let's just create a cacophony of just, I don't know, of construction site sounds with our instruments, and I didn't know if people like would go for that or even know that we were trying to do that. So I'm glad you got it.
Maybe it's the fact that I worked construction most of my life.
Well, that might be it too.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a magic in that song that just Robert made me really enjoy it.
Wow. Cool. Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. No. Like that song was written about our bass player. He bought a house in San Rafael, which is right. It's maybe 20 minutes north of San Francisco, and it was like the cheapest house on the block, right?
Mhm.
And as these things happen, condominiums start going up around his house, and he was like on his block, like he was the holdout, right? Like he didn't want to sell, like he wanted to like keep his house, and so because of that, he went through hell because all these construction sites were like surrounding him for years, and like we would try to go over there and do practices and rehearsals, and we literally couldn't hear our instruments because of everything going on around us. So that's where that song came from, just born out of frustration, just like, construction man, like, quiet down, we're trying to like create something here, let's like, I know you're after top dollar for your condominium units, but um people move to this area because of the vibe, and you're killing that vibe right now.
Yeah. That's what kind of sucks. Right down the road, they're starting to build a new subdivision.
Mhm.
It's like, man, we moved here because you could see the hills and just the whole scenery was beautiful,
Right.
and you're taking that away.
Mhm.
It's so now we're looking at moving further out in the country. So by the time they reach us when we're out in the country, maybe we'll be ready to croak. So I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like the older I get, the more I need to get, like, kind of get away, like find my nature, like have instant access to it, because I need that, and like, sounds like you feel the same way.
Yeah, man. When I was a kid, I was all about being around my friends and being around all the shops and all that kind of stuff. And
Mhm.
and now I'm like, I want to move out the country, have some chickens and goats, and start growing my own vegetables and that kind of thing. I mean, you go to my backyard, we've taken some old pallets and stacked them up, and we've fixed it to where we have dirt in it, and we're growing vegetables out of it, and have a little greenhouse back there, and all
Right.
our onions and peppers and carrots and broccoli and lettuce, and I mean, you name it, we're growing it out there.
Right.
And it's not only relaxing and get you closer to nature, it's almost like a spiritual awakening, I guess.
Mhm.
Makes me feel closer to God when I'm growing something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like there's alchemy about that you just can't describe.
And man, I've turned this into a do-it-yourself gardening show.
This is great. I mean, it's, like it's obvious that we have a lot in common. So it's this. Yeah, this has been the easiest interview ever.
Well, outside of the music, what else do you like to do?
Let's see. Outside of music, that is kind of my life. Um, I that's I do like hiking. I do like let's see. Like, it totally caught me off guard. I like biking. Like anything sort of outdoors and exercise, I'm in. Um, I do like planting, like, as well. Like, we do have a backyard that gets good light, and we grow. Let's see, we got a lemon tree and lime tree. We've got a pineapple guava tree. We've got a fig tree. Got a nectarine tree. I've got garlic. Yeah, parsley, and we're about to plant some strawberries. So yeah,
Man, it's almost like my backyard.
yeah. Is
I
it
got
really?
I got a lemon tree, a lime tree, fig tree, and we just got a banana tree.
What? Wait, like, you can grow bananas in Austin? That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
Huh.
it's not tropical here, but it stays pretty hot for a good long time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Huh. That's that. Like, you got me beat there. Um, but yeah, I'm looking out the window right now. We got some nectarines coming in. It should be ready in like a month. And it's, yeah. So just like being outside, like, I love gardening. I love working on the house too. Like, it rained a lot this year, so a lot of damage to the roof, and like, I love getting up there and doing it. Because it's just, A, it saves me money. B, it's like, I want to know how to do it. So So like I'm one of those nerds that would like look up a YouTube video and be like, okay, how do you do the shingle? Okay, figure it out. Okay, stick a new one in. Okay, got it. You know, and yeah, so I've become a handyman. You know, I didn't set out to be a handyman, but being a homeowner, I am now a handyman. So
Yeah, got you. And you're a dad.
I
How
am a
how
dad.
how do you juggle the music and being a dad?
Ooh, well, okay. So 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 we figured out this rhythm, right? Like for me, I stay up late at night just
Mhm.
because I'm playing gigs. My whole like circadian rhythm just jibes with that. So so I stay up with our daughter and I just douse her with milk right before I go to bed, and she stays asleep, 6, 7, sometimes 8 hours. But but like my wife, she goes to bed early, so like she's out by like 9 o'clock. So then I've got daughter time from like 9 o'clock till midnight. And then during the day, so my day job is that I do online therapy with adolescents and families. So
Mhm.
what's great about that is that I get to work from here. And so I'm at home, I see a client for like an hour or two, and then I can take my daughter for a walk. Um, and so that way, like I can do the music thing, like I can rehearse for a gig, and have my wife like take our daughter for like an hour or two, and then I've got our daughter, and then I can hang out with her and like do everything I need to do like prior to the show, hand her back off to my wife, do the show, like come home, grab her again, and it just like we found this rhythm about it, uh where I am around the house enough that like my wife can do what she needs to do, and I grab Maddie, and then like we trade off. So um but it took us a while to figure that out. Like like the first 6 months were like, what am I doing? I've got a gig, I got to do this, I got to meet with a client, what am I doing? Now it's like, okay, I'm only seeing clients from this time to this time so that you can do your thing, and then when I need to do my thing, you got her from this time to this time. So it's our lives have become very scheduled,
Yeah.
but it works.
You've made that marriage 100 instead of the typical the 50-50. No, it's 100 or it doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's I don't want to put any undue burden on my wife, and and she's got a life too. So but we both love the music thing. Like my wife does a lot of the lyrics, and she also manages the band, so like she's very involved.
Wow.
Um, but she can't do that and watch our daughter. So like that's when I scoop up our like daughter, and I take her into the guest house, and she loves drums. So like I'll give her like a shaker and some hand drums, and she'll just bang away for hours like as I'm practicing. Like it's funny, like she's got great rhythm. I don't know where she got that from, but but it works, you know.
Um, what's cool is nearly every musician that I've talked to, whether they're young or they're like, my age or older,
Mhm.
everyone seems to have taken the responsibility route. Most folks are expecting your rock bands to be that partying 24 hours a day, drinking and drugging and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And it's refreshing to see that most of the musicians I talk to aren't like that.
I, there's no way I could do that. You know, it's it's not. It's I just don't have the bandwidth. Like I could maybe drink a beer a night, and that's about it. Because I need that energy in case like my daughter gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning and needs to be fed. Like I can't, I can't be like nursing a hangover and do that at the same time. That sounds terrible. Um, and plus it like in my age, like I'm slowing down, and I'm fine with that, by the way. But it's but it helps me create a better balance. You know, like I love music enough to not make it my life. You know, like I need other things in my life. I need my daughter. I need my wife. I need to do therapy. You know, like it's about balance.
Yeah. Well, you you want to have your wits about you in case there's emergency too. If you got a kid, you don't want to be
Absolutely.
wasted and trying to get them to the hospital or something. And
That sounds like a nightmare.
um, I interviewed I call him a kid. He's about 30 years old, almost 30 years old, and
Okay.
he's really getting into the music business. I see him having a pretty good career,
Hmm.
and he when he decided to get serious about the music is when he gave up the drinking and the drugs.
Hmm.
Like, wow, that used to be a prerequisite back in the days. You had to be a party animal if you were going to be in a band.
Right.
And it's kind of reversed. I can't speak for everyone else, just the people that I've interviewed.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely helped me to sort of cut back.
Mhm.
You know, because I got my wits about me, you know, and like even at shows, I need to talk with the audience and remember to thank people and if I'm not like if I'm out of my skull, I'm not going to be able to do that. It's not like it stops becoming fun. So then why
Yeah.
am I doing it? You know?
Yeah. My brain is already, I forget too much. I
Mhm.
don't need anything else helping me in that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. I need to save whatever brain cells I got left.
And it seems like the older I get, the more sentimental I get. Are you finding that to be true as well?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it's like certain songs get me, you know, and certain movies get me, you know, uh and just my daughter can just make me just spontaneously laugh just by things that she does, and like I just like my heart has opened up immensely, you know, and whether that's an age thing or being a new dad or both.
I can't listen to Cats in the Cradle without crying.
That's a beautiful song.
I think, God, when I was a kid, it was nothing to me. And now, I guess because my kids are all grown up and I got grandkids,
Hmm.
that song hits close to home, man.
Yeah.
You said you're a therapist. What got you into therapy?
Well, that's a good question. I was living down in LA, and I was doing the LA thing. I was touring and producing and engineering and you know and recording, and um and I just kind of felt like I was missing something. I needed more in my life,
Yeah.
and I decided at that time, you know, like I've always wanted to do therapy. Like I always felt like I'd be a good therapist. Like I'm a good listener, like obviously because my speech impediment sort of forced me to be a good listener. And why don't I just try to go back to school, you know, and get a master's degree in social work. And so I applied, got rejected because they looked at what I've been doing the past, you know, 10 years, and they're like, oh, that's a bunch of music, but there's nothing in there to like it says therapy. So then I started to like to volunteer and I volunteered at a local like middle school, like helping out youth, and it just got me hooked. Like a lot of youth around like the tween stage, like 11, 12, you know, and like early teens are just that like that's a tough time. Um, and I fell in love with that population. And so the next time I applied to social work school, I got in, and I did a pivot away from music into social work because I wanted to just utilize that side of my brain and do something for the community. Um, and so I did that and like graduated and started working in nonprofits, and then music started to kind of creep back into my life, and I found out that like, oh my gosh, I actually need both, right? Like I can't just do music full time and I can't do social work full time. I need to find a balance between the two because I love both. And like it's also sort of given me a new perspective on society. Like being a social worker, I got to work with some lower socioeconomic like populations that just opened up my eyes. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need to write songs about this. Oh wait, I can do that. Right. So then I found a way to sort of like use my life experience to help inform like the music, which then sort of helps bring uh, a lens to what's happening with certain like with certain segments of the population that people might not know about. So um so yeah, so finding a balance between like social work and music has been wonderful. That I didn't realize I needed both until I had both.
Well, you've got some youth out there, and there's going to be people, let's face it, even in our age range that, well, they have maybe not have decided what they wanted to do in life. They need a little direction. What kind of advice would you give?
For youth or just people in general.
It could be people in general, and it could be just life in general.
Yeah. You know, I would say if there's something that you've always wanted to do, um, whether that be a job or an artistic pursuit, like be brave, right? Like try it, knowing that you're probably not going to be good at it, and that that's a part of the process. You know, just like having me start out in the 6th grade as a guitar player, I sucked. I was terrible. You know, I had no time. I played the pentatonic scale till it was way out of style. And but then it got better, right? And that's where we all start. And I think that for a lot of people in today's modern, you know, like technological age, they're afraid of taking a risk, right? Because like what if it's caught on camera, and what if it's posted on social media? Then the whole world's going to know that I suck. And they're not going to know that for now, they're going to know that forever, because it's always going to be up there, right? So I feel like a lot of people kind of play it safe and go, I don't want to try too hard in any direction, because then no one can make me feel bad about me. But at the same time, like you're not living up to your like potential, so that's its own hell. But like we're all, I feel like that we're all puzzle pieces, and there's something that you do innately probably better than most people, and whatever that is, you should probably do it and be brave about it and suck. It's okay to suck, because it's like we're all experiential, like that's how we learn. So like whatever you want to do, start making inroads into that, and realize that like for the first few years it's going to suck, and you're going to suck. But the end result of that is that you might acquire a skill that will bring you happiness like for the rest of your life.
You guys got a website?
We do. So if you go to ptimusic.com, you can see all of our silly videos and see and check out all of our albums. Yeah, and see like where we're playing. We haven't quite broken out of California yet, but Austin is high on our list of places that we would like to come visit.
Well, we got to hang out then.
Yeah.
We'll take you to the best barbecue places and Whataburger.
Okay. Oh yeah. and go down like by the river.
Oh, definitely going to go to the river. So there is a camping park that we go to that's like the best spot. It's so quiet. Even when there's a lot of people out there, it's still not that bad. It's real quiet, and the nature out there is just, I can't explain it. You just have to be there. The whole aura of the place is perfect.
Wow.
But,
That's beautiful.
and what social media are you guys on?
We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, which is funny because I don't do the TikTok. My wife does TikTok. Like we're on YouTube. I guess it's not social media, but yeah, but we're out there, you know. Like as much as we can push it. It's funny because we're a band of four like middle-aged dudes that just kind of just get silly and do stupid stuff that gets caught on camera. So like the more you dig, the more you'll find. So I've got like a lot of blackmail like material out there.
I tell you what, it took me to my nearly 50s before I'd found what I wanted to do and really let my personality come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't want the younger generation to wait that long. You know, I had dreams of being an artist. I wanted to be a comic book artist for Marvel one day, and
Yeah.
you know, I just wasn't that good to begin with, but I didn't really pursue it. I let family and life and everything else just kind of get in the way, I guess you say.
Mm.
And here I am. I'm retired, and I found podcasting, and this is what I think I love to do, and I want this to be my career.
Yeah.
But I don't want people to wait all their lives. Just pursue it, and if it's not exactly what you want to do, you might find something that you do like out of it.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. No, like don't be afraid to be creative. You know, it sounds like you've got this creative soul, and
That I do.
creativity finds a way.
I mean, you guys are on Bandcamp. Is there any other place people can find your music?
Bandcamp, yeah, no, that's our preferred place. But we're on Spotify and Apple Music, iTunes, Deezer, you know, all the major streaming sites. But yeah, if you use a streaming site, please pick up the album on Bandcamp.
I want to get the vinyl, so I'm gonna go pick up the vinyl.
Okay, yeah, like we will send that out to you.
Sweet, man, David. I can't thank you enough for this time. I really enjoyed talking to you. I feel like we kind of connected there on so many things.
Like there's this kindred spirit thing happening. So like thank you for opening up and you know and sharing yourself with me.
I hate taking over the interview. I feel bad.
I don't know. No, this is very cathartic for me. So
well, I definitely want to do this again in the future. So
okay.
Let's do this again, and especially when your next album comes out.
Yeah, we will be working on that come January 2024. So
nice.
It's in the works.
Well, I also want to thank all of you out there. If you are new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. I hope you'll come back. Please hit that subscribe button. For my regulars, you guys rock because you make it possible for me to do this. Till the next one, everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.